as Cam Newton sat out most of this week in practice. But Bill Belichick still won't tip his hand to which quarterback he's leaning towards. Yesterday, when asked about when he would make a decision on the starter, Belichick said, quote, "I don't have a timetable on that. I can't tell you." Shannon, how much will this last preseason game factor into Belichick's decision?
I don't believe it will, Skip. I believe Coach Belichick is probably 90% has his mind made up who he thinks is going to start or who he knows is going to start. It's hard for me to believe. Probably, arguably, the most prepared NFL coach in NFL history still is uncertain 2 weeks out from the season starting. I think he went into this, he's saying, you know what? Cam is my starter. In order for Mac Jones to become my starter, he's going to have to vastly outperform Cam Newton. Now, some people say, well, he's vastly outperformed Cam.
Some say that.
Some would say
in
that.
the media in the Northeast up near Foxborough.
Right.
Yep.
Tom Curran, I read a little piece on him, and he believes that it's Mac Jones' job that he's put this thing to bed. I don't believe that's the case. Now, a lot of things can happen. I believe both guys will probably play a series or two. How much do you deduce from that? Not really certain. Could Cam possibly lose his job, Skip, over the next, say, 8-9 days of practice? I don't think so. My gut, my instinct tells me that Cam Newton is going to be the starter. Now, it's not telling me how long he's going to be the starter, but it's just going to say opening day, Cam goes out there with the number ones. I'm not so sure, Skip. Knowing Coach Belichick, after, obviously I played against him, followed him since I've been in the media, he might not even declare until, he wants you to prepare for Cam and Mac.
Yep.
So he might not even say leading up to whoever they play. I think they play Miami to open today at home.
Yep.
I'm not so sure that he's going to say Cam is the starter or Mac Jones is the starter. But as I sit here right now and I try to look at what happened in the preseason and where this thing's going to go, I'm pretty certain that Cam is going to be the starter. How long Cam remains the starter, that's going to be up to Cam. How well they play, how well they look, because, Skip, they got a tough schedule to get out the gate with. And so I believe this is a 10 or 11 win team. I believe this team can make the playoff. There's no doubt Coach Belichick believes that. Mr. Kraft almost demands it. He said, y'all done spent $160 million of my dollars in this offseason.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some playoff revenue for this kind of spending.
That is correct.
So I believe, I'm going to say right now, Skip, I'm going to say Cam is the starter.
Okay. So, big picture. As I sit back and watch this from a distance, I would not want to be in Bill Belichick's shoes right now.
Okay.
I believe that Bill Belichick, many call him the GOAT coach, is starting to be on a hot seat in New England thanks to that remark from that owner, Mr. Kraft, because he just basically said, hey, I need some bang for my bucks. I did it. They spent $232 total million in free agency.
I shorted him $72 million.
Okay, well, 159 is guaranteed, so that just went out the window in one fell swoop. He signed, the near future away, right? And he plunged into free agency the way I never thought I would see a Bill Belichick need to plunge into free agency, but that's how desperate he was. And he continues to make little big moves because he traded away Sony Michel because they're loaded at running back to get some future picks. And then he traded some of those future picks away to get Shaun Wade, the cornerback, because he's got an issue with Stephon Gilmore, and they're not sure. He's on the PUP list right now with some kind of quad injury, but is he holding out or is he really hurt? Hard to know, but he's a problem for him that is a thorn in Belichick's side right now because he's clearly the best DB, but they got a bunch of them. Okay, so now Belichick is sitting back. He got humiliated by Tom Brady last year. I don't care how you slice it. Coach Subway he got eaten for lunch by Tom Brady, basically, because Brady goes to Tampa Bay. It was 7-9. They were called the Succaneers. It's a pandemic. There's no preseason, and you know the rest of the story. On a torn MCL, he leads them all the way to the Super Bowl and wins what turned out to be a home Super Bowl. It's pretty impossible what he pulled off, and yet it heaped new pressure on Belichick, whose team slid into the sunset at what, 7-9. And they slid because Cam slid last year. He had a sensational start that Game 2 night at Seattle. 30 of 44 for 397, third most yards he's thrown for in his whole career, and that's because the very first 2 games of Cam's career as a rookie were the only 2 above that.
Over 400.
And, whew, were they? And he had a QBR of 77, which is very high, and he ran for 2 touchdowns, and they would have had maybe the win of the year if he just bounced it outside on the keeper at the end of the game, and it was 1st and goal at the 1, but it was last ditch because the clock was about to run out, and he lost a yard instead of scoring his 3rd touchdown rushing of the game. Okay, so we saw the great Cam, and then we saw him just sink into the sunset and finish 30th of 33 qualified quarterbacks in QBR. Not pretty, not a pretty sight. So Cam's not old. He's 32. He's played 10 years. This is year 11. So all of a sudden, here's Belichick, and he has a kid from Alabama he loves. Clearly, he loves him. And the kid is just getting better by the practice, it appears to me. I don't get to watch practice, but that's how it feels, right? He gets better by the snap in preseason games because he was really good at Alabama last year. And again, Coach Belichick, Coach Saban are pretty much joined at the hip. They're like-minded. They're sort of the same guy, right? And they sort of came up together in coaching. I don't know if Belichick has any real close friends, but that's a close
I would say
friend.
Saban. If he has a close friend, Coach Saban is it.
That would be it. So clearly, Nick is telling him, hey, this kid can play. He may not have the strongest arm, but he is a tough young man, both physically and mentally, and he will figure it out. If you give him a chance, he'll figure out how to win games. So I look at Mac Jones's numbers last year at Alabama. My God. 41 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
He was sensational.
His QBR was 96, which ranked first in the country. He threw for country-leading 4,500 yards. He completed 77% of his passes.
That's a record.
Whew. And yet, Jalen Waddle.
Najee Harris.
And he had Najee. He could toss it out of the backfield. He can really catch it, as we're going to see in Pittsburgh.
First-round offensive lineman.
And Mechie is going to be their star this year, but he was there. So you still had your track team of receivers. And the offensive line was obviously probably the best in the country because it's just loaded with high picks.
Every year, correct.
Okay, so now he comes into camp, and slowly but surely, it looks like he's the future. Well, is the future now, or Brady's coming to town in, game 4 of the year, okay? So
in about 6 weeks.
Whew. So Belichick is on a hot seat, both literally and figuratively, because he needs to figure out how to live up to the $232 million with the right quarterback. Well, I don't envy this choice because this is a tough one.
But let me ask you a question. Coach Belichick made it abundantly clear that Cam was a starter. Do you believe Mac Jones has been head and shoulders above Cam in the preseason? Because I think that's going to be the determining factor whether or not Coach Belichick is willing to make this move. Has Mac Jones been substantially better than Cam? I don't believe that.
I can't go substantially because the last time I laid eyes on Cam, he was going 8 of 9, and he looked really good.
He looked really good.
Yeah, like I got nothing. I have no complaint. I can't criticize anything about it. And is his arm stronger than Mac Jones? Yeah, stronger. Yeah. Did he win an MVP? Yeah. Do I know that Mac Jones can be great in this league? I don't know that for a fact.
Cam's more athletic. You can do more with the playbook than Cam. Now, I believe Mac Jones is more accurate. The way he does it, Skip, is by getting the ball out of his hand quick. Cam is going to buy some time and take off running. Mac Jones is going to use running as a last resort, not as a first option.
Agreed.
This kid, you watched him at that last game he played, Skip, the way he steps up in the pocket, climb the pocket, as they call it, to protect the ball, get the ball out of his hand. He was sensational. But he almost had to be because he had saw the performance that Cam had just put on. So you're following up Cam, Skip, is kind of like an act. You saw the opening, I was like, well, damn, they were that good? I make sure I got to be on my best behavior, too.
I agree. And Mac Jones is the classic, not gym rat, but film rat. And Dante Hightower gave him the highest compliment and said, I was so impressed that he was told that Mac was breaking down tape of their defense in practice so he could be better the next day in practice. And he said, you know what? That scores high points with me for that kid. So he's winning over a lot of the veterans. And a lot of some of the, I guess you'd call them key expatriates, starting with Rodney Harrison, that they have endorsed Mac as the starter. Ninkovich has. And we can just go, there have been 4 or 5 of them. So all of a sudden, Damian Woody has said that. Okay? So that will have some impact on Bill Belichick. And also having impact on Bill